Health insurance is a scam for chronic pain, especially for chronic pain. We're going to get into it. I'm Dr. Anthony Davis, and I help people with chronic pain reclaim the active life that they love without drugs or surgery. So insurance, let's add it up. Before we totally dive in, let's look at what the cost of insurance is, and then we can decide whether or not that cost is worth it. So first of all, in the United States, the premium that you're going to be paying for your health insurance on average is going to be over $5,000 per year. And debatably, you're just setting that cash on fire, right? It does not go to the places that you think. It does not go to prevention. It does not help with chronic pain, especially. Debatably, it's useful if you do happen to have an emergency, sure. But even if you do have an emergency, well, you're still stuck with a high deductible, right? Most plans in the United States these days are going in the direction of having an extremely high deductible and copays, right? So even if you do have an emergency and health insurance does pick up the bill for some really catastrophic event, God forbid that happen, you're still on the line for thousands of dollars per year for all the things that they're not going to cover, or even if they do cover them, you still have to pick up the deductible and the copay. On top of that, if you go to a hospital especially, you have no transparency. You have no idea what you're actually going to pay or which procedures will or will not be covered. And of course, in the case of an emergency, you don't have the choice of saying, I do or don't want this procedure because it's a fucking emergency, right? So what are you going to do? Say no? Your life is on the line, right? So there's no transparency, which hospital costs the most, which procedure, which medication, that type of thing. You just have to kind of go through the system and see what happens on the end. And you may be stuck with a very expensive bill months later. And this has even happened with primary care physicians, right? It's not just emergency. I remember personally having a primary care visit where they did a very, very normal routine procedure. And months later, I got a random bill for about $1,000 for something that should have been routine, should have been covered by my insurance. But for some reason, for some weird coding issue where they couldn't do two different types of procedures on the same visit and have them both reimbursed, I got my claim denied, right? Because there's no transparency on the front end. The doctors don't even know sometimes what's going to get reimbursed and what's not going to be reimbursed. So it's a very frustrating situation for everybody involved. So this is denials, right? Rejected. You try to get things, even if you should get covered, a lot of times your insurance company will try any reason at all to deny your claim. Any reason they can. For example, if I as a doctor am documenting that you had an injury, okay, you have low back pain, onset of sciatica, when did it happen? 2 weeks ago. How did it happen? Well, while I was at work, I was lifting a heavy object and, oh, wait. If I document that you hurt yourself at work and I'm trying to get you covered by your insurance company, unfortunately, they may try to deny your claim because they say, oh, well, that's workman's comp. Workman's comp should pay for that. We're not going to pay for it, right? They're going to try to deny your claim any chance they can. Or if you say, oh, okay, so I have low back pain. It's been going on for a month, and that's because a month ago I was rear-ended in an automobile accident. Okay, so motor vehicle accident. Oh, suddenly your insurance company doesn't want to pay because that should be auto insurance that pays, right? Or that you should file a suit with a private insurance company, or personal injury claim, and you have to go that route. We're not going to pay, right? So there's every single possible reason under the sun. And this is the one that drives me and every other doctor on the planet crazy, is that they'll debate medical necessity, right? They are going to say your treatment was not medically necessary, even though your doctor prescribed it, right? And so maybe it's medications, maybe it's some type of rehabilitation or some other type of treatment. PRP is a common one. injections of protein-rich plasma. People get that kind of stuff for their joints all the time, and it might not be medically necessary according to your insurance company. But that means that your insurance company is trying to play doctor. They're trying to tell you what is medically necessary. They are dictating treatment, even though your insurance company is not allowed to dictate treatment, right? Because they're not doctors. Your doctor decides what is medically necessary. Even so, insurance companies will come up with any reason under the sun to say that it's not medically necessary. So your insurance companies are playing doctor, which is illegal. Totally illegal. And they do it anyway. They get away with it all the freaking time. And it just drives me absolutely bonkers. So let's move on. So the other reasons why insurance is absolutely a scam and costly, very, very costly, because of, many reasons, but mostly private insurance companies and the way that they negotiate prices for certain types of procedures. And doctors trying to negotiate better prices and better reimbursements. In the United States, compared to every other developed country, the cost of, let's say you need an MRI, you have a low back injury, you've got low back pain, you've got sciatica, you're worried that you have a disc herniation, and you need to go get an MRI. Well, I have ordered plenty of MRIs for my patients, although you shouldn't always, by the way, sidestep, you shouldn't always get an MRI. In fact, sometimes getting an unnecessary MRI leads to worse outcomes. I have a video entirely on that. But the point is that if you do need an MRI, there are tons of times that I've ordered MRIs and I've documented exactly why they need an MRI, and they go and their insurance company denies them, right? And so if you have to pay out of pocket, you might be paying $1,500 for an MRI just to see what is going on with your low back injury, right? So if that's the case, right, so I could go on, medications are more expensive, right? So the United States has a major problem, and part of it is because of private insurance companies and the way that prices are negotiated with private insurance companies, unfortunately, right? So we've got a major issue, and this is also cost compared to Medicare, right? So if you have a private insurance company, the actual money that's exchanging hands, you're paying double, on average, about double the cost of if you had Medicare, right? So a single payer system in general is much more efficient, which is, kind of an anomaly. A lot of people argue for a private, leave it to the private market, leave it to, the free market, right? In capitalism. And in this particular case, when we look at other countries and they have government insurance, they have single payer systems, universal healthcare, they are more efficient on average. They are more efficient at handling healthcare costs than the private insurance companies. And that's just the way it is. That's just, at least with health insurance, that does seem to be the case. So not only that, but your insurance company is not going to pay to get you better, right? They're not going to actually pay for the things that it takes to really get you better. So let me give you an example. I'm a chiropractor, and Medicare will not pay for an exam that it takes to legally, I have to do an exam before I treat you. And so they will not pay for the exam that I am legally required to do before I offer any kind of adjustments or treatment to your body, right? They will pay for me to crack your back, and that's it. That is all Medicare will pay for, is chiropractors to crack backs. So if you've ever wondered, why do chiropractors just crack backs and that's it? Well, because Medicare only pays to crack backs. They don't even pay for the exam, and they certainly don't pay for education. They don't pay for me to teach you how to take care of yourself, and they definitely don't pay for exercise for me to, again, teach you how to take care of yourself. So, and forget about Medicare, even private insurance companies don't pay for education, right? One of the things that I do for all of my patients and my online clients even is I give unlimited chat support and I give a robust educational course. Insurance doesn't pay for that, but that's the stuff that actually gets you better, right? What about exercise? If they do pay at all, they don't pay very much. So it's not feasible for doctors doctors to do education and exercise in order to get people better, because insurance does not actually reimburse sufficiently to make it worth our time, frankly. And I'm showing you how the sausage is made, but that's the fact, right? If you do the math, let's say chiropractors, okay? Well, insurance pays to crack backs. How long does it take me to crack a back? 5 minutes. So I could do that, and I could get paid the same amount that I would get paid if I get paid at all to do exercise. So why don't I just cram in as many people as fast as possible, crack as many backs as possible in order to make as much money as possible? So the insurance is dictating care again. They're trying to play doctor by telling us what we can and can't get reimbursed for, which determines what we as doctors actually do or do not offer as treatment, right? And this is the same case. It's not just chiropractors. What about your medical doctor? All they do is they write you a prescription for opiates or muscle relaxers, right? Why? Because they get paid to prescribe these things, right? They get paid for their time. They get paid for the visit. They get paid for the exam. They get paid for all of that type of stuff. But if they actually took time to educate you or give you exercise, they're not getting paid for that at all. So they try to cram as many people as fast as possible, and they just, boop, you get opiates, you get muscle relaxers, you get non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, you get gabapentin, you get Oxycontin, you get, it's just ridiculous. And it's because the insurance company, based on what they reimburse, is determining what doctors are willing to offer in terms of treatment and how short your appointment times are. So insurance is just fucking up the healthcare system by basically playing doctor, and then doctors have no choice but to play along unless they skip insurance and say, you know what, I don't even take insurance because I don't like that insurance is dictating what treatment I offer. And that's why I don't take insurance, because I don't like the insurance company playing doctor, because they're not doctors. Okay. So on top of that, right, they're not going to be covering a lot of the things that you're paying for anyway, right? They don't cover, a lot of times they don't cover chiropractic treatment, or they don't cover robust treatment, or they don't cover enough of it. Maybe they only give you 8 visits per year or 12 visits per year or something like that. Same thing with acupuncture. Maybe they cover acupuncture, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't cover enough visits for your particular chronic condition, right? So they cut you off halfway through the year and now you have to pay for it on your own. They definitely don't cover personal training, right? Exercise is medicine, movement is medicine. So this is more on the preventative aspect of chronic pain, is you need to really exercise. Well, how do you do that without a coach, right? Or any other type of alternative healthcare? Insurance just isn't going to pay for it. And if they do, they're only going to pay for a little bit of it, as little as they possibly can, right? So if you're dealing with alternative healthcare, things that insurance just isn't going to pay for at all, I mean, that adds up, right? Remember, your healthcare premiums are super expensive. And then on top of that, well, let's say you go to the chiropractor 20 times throughout the year at $45 a piece. All right, so that's $900. Okay, on top of that, maybe you get some massages. All right, you get, one a month at $100 a pop. That's cheap. But okay, so you're spending $1,200 on massage out of pocket because insurance isn't paying for it. Okay, you go to a personal trainer once a week for a year. That's $3,000 over the course of a year. That this is the best medicine on the planet is exercise, right? And they're definitely not paying for that. Okay, and nutrition, right? It's exercise and nutrition. Those are the best medicines on the planet. Do you think insurance is going to actually pay for alternative healthcare? Do you think they're paying for your nutritionist for all the supplements that your nutritionist is going to prescribe to you? Hell no, right? And this is thousands of dollars that you have to pay out of pocket. So even as you're, bleeding from the neck here, burning your cash on your insurance premiums and deductibles and copays, there's all this other stuff that insurance is not paying for. And what about medical devices? Maybe you get a massage gun, maybe you get an inversion table, some type of decompression, right, for your spine at home. They're not paying for that at all. And this stuff adds up like crazy. You're burning all this cash, maybe $10,000 on top of your insurance premiums per year. And what makes it way, way worse is that even this stuff isn't working, right? You've got chronic pain, you've got chronic low back pain, chronic sciatica, a recurring flare-up of low back pain and sciatica, and all the, chiropractic, the massage, the supplements, the home medical devices, the self-massage, the creams, the ointments, all that stuff. It's just a temporary Band-Aid, right? It gives you temporary relief, but it doesn't give you a long-term solution. You have to keep coming back. So this is still just bailing water out of a sinking ship. It's not even actually fixing the problem that you're dealing with. So insurance on top, doesn't work to begin with, and then they're not paying for this stuff that you need just to stay sane. And then on top of that, that stuff even isn't really working because that system is broken and not evidence-based. And why isn't it working? Well, you go to your chiropractor, you go to your physical therapist, what do? Well, they're going to tell you that your posture is messed up, that your alignment is wrong, you're asymmetrical, you've got all these muscle imbalances, your hip flexors are tight, your glutes are weak, you've got a scoliosis, and all of that is causing your pain. And they're going to send you down this wild goose chase to try to have perfect posture, perfect alignment, fix your muscle imbalances. But guess what? Here's a ton of research, right? I think I cited about 10 different studies here showing that posture doesn't matter, alignment doesn't matter, muscle imbalances don't matter. Your tight hip flexors are not the reason you have chronic low back pain. I've got tons of videos telling you why you actually have chronic low back pain. But even if your insurance does pay for chiropractors or physical therapists, the things that they're doing in those visits don't even work in the first place, right? Because they're not following evidence-based guidelines. Did you know that most physical therapy does not even meet the WHO, the World Health Organization's minimum requirements for physical activity? Most physical therapists don't even have you do enough physical activity to meet the basic bare minimum requirements for physical activity. So your physical therapy is babying you. Fine, cool, great. You can go to the physical therapist and you can choose your PT based on, who takes insurance? And I get that sometimes with my patients. They call me up and they say, hey, first question out of their mouths, hey, do you take my insurance? I have Blue Cross or I have Aetna or I have United, whatever. And I say, no, I don't take any insurance because insurance doesn't pay to actually get you better. And they say, okay, well, I'm not going to go to you because I want to go to the guy down the street that takes my insurance. Cool. Good luck with that. Because guess what? The guy down the street, most of them are not getting you to do enough physical activity to meet the basic guidelines for being a functioning human being, and definitely not to get you out of pain, because your physical therapist is babying you. They're giving you literally baby exercises. They're having you crawl around on the floor like a baby and do a bunch of core exercises and banded, clamshells and things like that, and stretching. They're babying you. They're not having you do enough exercise to actually get strong and actually fix your chronic pain. So even if insurance does pay for something that you think is useful, the actual treatments being rendered are out of date, not evidence-based, not actually getting you strong, not taking a holistic solution, not addressing stress, not addressing sleep, not addressing nutrition, not actually giving you feedback and accountability and support. So it just doesn't work. The healthcare system is absolutely broken, and I'm getting passionate about this because it drives me crazy. There's not a lot of great solutions to this, right? And I just want to stop and say, of course there's a time that insurance matters. And that's with an emergency, right? Insurance is great when you have an emergency. Again, God forbid you have an emergency, but if you do, then hopefully your insurance is going to pick up the tab. But not always. They're going to try everything possible to deny your claim. But if they do, right, emergencies are the time that you really need the insurance, because then you're stuck with a $50,000 bill, a $10,000 ambulance ride, right? They charge you for Advil, and that Advil cost $500, right? It's crazy. But emergencies are the time that you really want to have insurance in your back pocket, 100%. However, when insurance fails is prevention. They do absolutely nothing to cover preventative medicine, right? If it's maintenance care, they don't care. There has to be an active complaint, an active medical condition that we are treating in order for insurance to cover it at all. But we know that the best thing that you can do is not try to dig yourself out of a hole once you already have chronic pain, once the sciatica gets bad enough that you're disabled from it. The best thing you can do is on the front end, exercise, eat anti-inflammatory food, get plenty of sleep, manage your stress. But again, stay strong, exercise enough that you prevent the low back pain injury from happening in the first place. And insurance definitely does not cover that. And then they do fill in the middle ground here. Again, once we have an emergency, fine, they can get you out of the emergency and make sure you're not going to die, or be disabled or something like that, at least not immediately. But they suck at covering chronic conditions. They cut you off too fast when you have not had enough treatment. They don't cover the treatments that are actually evidence-based, like education, exercise, accountability, that type of thing. It just fails you when it comes to prevention and chronic pain, right? So what do you do, right? I mean, this all is kind of overwhelming to think like, well, great. So insurance doesn't cover. Insurance is just, burning a hole in my pocket. It's not even helping. The treatments that they do pay for don't work. They don't pay for the treatments that do work. Even some of those alternative methods don't work because they aren't following evidence-based guidelines. So what do you actually do for chronic pain? How do you get yourself out of this chaos and actually reclaim the active life you love? I'm going to be totally blunt with you, and I think it comes down to a decision. It's not a great decision. It's not a great place to be, but this is the decision that you have, right? Unfortunately, you can do one of two things, right? You go for the broken medical system. You say, well, I'm just going to do the treatment that insurance covers because that's what insurance covers. And okay, well, that means drugs and injections. They cover that. Surgery, they usually cover that, right? Okay, well, now you got to recover from surgery. You got to recover from the fact that you have a flare up, 2-3 times a year and you can't even work. Or you have to recover from the surgery. And every time you take, time off of work, you're missing out on thousands of dollars of missed income. So you go the broken medical route and, it's $50,000 in a year for a short-term Band-Aid. So you can do that, right? And some of this is, covered by insurance. Some of it is not. But at the end of the day, you only get a short-term Band-Aid. So you can go that route, or unfortunately, to be blunt, like sometimes unfortunately the way it is, especially in the United States, is you have to come out of pocket for it and go the self-pay route. But if you can find a good practitioner that actually has an evidence-based program that actually gives you a holistic approach, mind, body, nutrition, sleep, actually treats you like a whole human being, where they might give you education, exercise, address stress, give you feedback, give you support, give you accountability, give you a sense of community, right? Because healthcare needs to be a biopsychosocial approach in order to have real results. And yeah, it might cost you some money. Maybe it costs you $5,000 to do it. But if you actually had these things that insurance does not pay for, education, exercise, stress relief, feedback, support, community, nutrition, sleep, right? If you actually had those things, then maybe you'd have a long-term solution and you don't have to keep burning money on all the bullshit that insurance will pay for, or that you're going to have to come out of pocket anyway. That doesn't work, right? So ultimately, you got to decide whether you want to keep going and getting short-term relief. You go to the chiropractor, get your back cracked. It feels good for a while, but it doesn't help. Or you just keep taking Advil, you keep taking NSAIDs, you keep taking muscle relaxers and opiates. Sure, it's short-term pain relief, and some of that maybe insurance covers, but you just have to keep coming back. Or you can actually embody, take control of your health, exercise, education, stress modification, sleep, nutrition, right? Have a holistic solution that you can manage on your own that empowers you to reclaim the active life you love, right? And that's the kind of thing that I work with my clients on, like Connor, right? Who, after we got him exercising, we got him over the fear of pain and re-injury, and we got him slow and steady, but eventually, he got back to, hiking and karate and squash and all kinds of amazing things and yoga, right? And as he says, I've been returning to the activities I love with a fresh perspective and confidence, right? And it's because of a holistic approach. So if you want to know what we did for Connor, and if you want to know how to actually fix chronic low back pain and sciatica, then I have a masterclass. It's how to conquer chronic low back pain and sciatica without drugs or surgery. Go ahead. The link is in the description. Watch that. It's going to totally transform your life. And I'll see you in another video.